Hi guys, this is Jessica with Chapter Chicks, and I am here to talk about the Hunger Games. First off, I just want to say sorry for that noise. Our air conditioner's on. It's not even very hot out, but it's still really hot out. Plus I'm pregnant, so I'm really hot. So our air conditioner's on. I can't turn it off because I'll die of hotness. So sorry about that. First off, I'm going to be talking about all kinds of different stuff for the Hunger Games. So I'm just going to put links up here in this area to skip ahead to those areas in case you don't want to watch the whole thing. Like, I'm going to be talking about the characters, I'm going to be talking about the movie information, I'm going to be talking about how I felt the book interpreted the movie and things like that. Okay, so first I'm going to talk about me and Stacey's experience with the Hunger Games. It was a lot of fun. I went and stayed the night at my mom's house the night before. That way Stacey and I could make shirts because, if you guys watched her video, you know that we are big, huge nerds. We like to make shirts for everything except for Twilight. I did make a Twilight shirt with YA Fiction Freaks for Breaking Dawn, the book, but never for the movies for some reason. I guess we're just not that excited about them because you know why. But yeah, so we make shirts for things like Harry Potter. One time we made Harry Potter shirts and we like frizzed our hair all up with yellow and red, and made Harry Potter Quidditch shirts, and it was a lot of fun, and we looked like such dorks. And if I can find a picture of it, I will show you guys. I found some the other day, but I don't remember where I found them at, so if I can find one, I'll put one up now. But for Hunger Games, we were a lot less crazy. So you guys saw Stacey's, and I'll put a link to the video that shows you how to make these. So what I did was I drew the Mockingjay pin and then wrote 74th Annual Hunger Games. And I tried to be really brilliant, and I'm like, oh, I'm going to center it all, and I'll make the Hunger Games, or I'll put the center right underneath of Hunger, or in between Hunger and Games. So it will be really even and look really nice underneath of it. But then I was not actually that brilliant because there are more letters in Hunger than there are in Games. So it turned out really uneven. And it looked even worse on my pregnant belly because my belly like accentuated it. It like rounded off with it, so it looked just hilarious. But yeah, so that's my awesome front. I love it. I think it turned out really good. And then the back, I did the book things up at the top, how the book has all that stuff around it, and just put District 12. So yeah, that was my shirt. I love it. I'm gonna wear it all the time. Yeah, I think they're adorable. I think they're actually the best ones that me and Stacey have made. We also got these really cool cups. Mine's in the dishwasher, so I'm not gonna take it out. But so you can look at Stacey's review if you want to see the cups. But they're really awesome. They're like yay big, and they have the Hunger Games on them. And I'm gonna keep it forever. And Angie has Breaking Dawn ones with Edward's face on it, and they're like huge and like they're awesome to drink Kool-Aid out of because they're just so big. You can put all kinds of ice in it. It's so good. And I always wanted one, and now I have a Hunger Games one, and I'm like, But she might have a Hunger Games one too. I didn't ask, so I don't know. Okay, so now I'm going to talk a little bit about the movie. Hunger Games was released March 23rd of 2012, as most of you guys know. You've probably seen 1,000 reviews over it, but I'm going to do it right anyways. Hunger Games is a Lionsgate film, and it was directed by Gary Ross, and the movie is 2 hours and 22 minutes long. Okay, so now I want to talk about each of the characters. This is the character section. I want to talk about what I thought of the actor originally, and how well I think they portrayed their character. So we're just going to start off with the main ones, obviously. Katniss Everdeen is played by Jennifer Lawrence. I think that she did an amazing job as Katniss. I didn't really have an image of Katniss in my head, but I knew that she wasn't someone who was absolutely stunning and absolutely gorgeous, but was still really, really gorgeous at the same time. She's just so rough, and I think that Jennifer Lawrence really portrayed that well because she isn't one of those people who are just like typically gorgeous, but she's still really gorgeous at the same time, and she has a really strong demeanor. I think she just played Katniss so well. I think that she really looked the part, and I think that she really acted the part, because it could have been messed up very easily, since it's such a tough, like, she has such a tough role, like, not like tough role to play, but tough actions. She has like a tough exterior or interior. She has had so much happen to her that she's living a rough life. I don't know if any of that makes sense, but she's really a tough character, and that could have been really cheesy if it wasn't done right. And I think that Jennifer Lawrence did it perfect. So I am so happy with the casting of Jennifer Lawrence. I think she did great. Now I want to talk about Peeta Mellark, who was played by Josh Hutcherson. When I first saw Josh Hutcherson, I thought that he should be Gale. I thought his face had the rough, sharp edges. I thought that that I've seen in previous stuff, could play an edgy character very well, and I thought that he would be perfect as Gale. And he was Peeta, so I was really disappointed. And I'm not gonna lie, I was still kind of disappointed in his looks. He did a very good job as Peeta. As I watched the movie, I quickly fell in love with him as Peeta, because he did such a good job getting the chemistry across. And I think that was really important, because they played so much on the romance, but then focused so little on the romantic parts of the book, which I thought was really strange. Like, they wanted to play up the whole Peeta, Team Gale thing, but then they didn't focus on the main romantic part that was actually part of the story, so I thought that was kind of weird, kind of silly, but I think that he got the chemistry across very well for the cave scene and things like that, and I think that he acted beautifully. But I still don't think he looks the part of Peeta. I think that him and Liam need to switch spots, because Liam has this sweet, like, pudgy exterior, and I kind of pictured Peeta as that, especially since he's, like, always eating things in the bakery. I guess that's why I pictured that. And then Gale has the sharper edges in my mind. So those two should have switched spots for me, but, I mean, Josh Hutcherson did an amazing job. So now I'm going to talk about the person who plays Gale Hawthorne, and that is Liam Hemsworth. And like I said, I feel like him and Gale should have switched spots, or him and Peeta should have switched spots, but oh my god, he did an amazing job as Gale. I love him as Gale or as Peeta. I think that he was only in it for a couple seconds, or a couple scenes, but he still did an amazing job, and he is very attractive. And I also did not know he was Thor's little brother until I watched Stacy's video, and it's like, where did that family live at? Because I want to move right next door and drink the water, because it's looking good in that area, I'm guessing. But yeah, so I thought he acted amazingly. He had one scene where all he did was look up at Katniss and Peeta kissing, and you could just see jealousy just emanating off of him, like it was real, and I thought that he did an amazing job of that. And in the scene with him and Katniss, when they're in the room together when they're saying their goodbyes, I think that he did a really good job there as well. So I am very happy with his casting. Now I want to talk about Lenny Kravitz as Cinna. I think he did a good job. Everyone's kind of giving him a bad rap, but I think he did really good. I thought he came across very loving towards her. He didn't come off as, like, they didn't play off the whole Cinna is the only person in the Capitol that Katniss trusts enough, I don't think. But I feel like he did a really good job. He came off really sweet, and he came off to like he didn't like the Capitol either, and that's kind of how he was supposed to be. So I don't know why everyone didn't like him. I really enjoyed his character, just personally. I think that Lenny Kravitz, A-OK job as Cinna. Now let's talk about Woody Harrelson as Haymitch. I think that he was so perfect for Haymitch. I didn't like his hair very much because it looks kind of goofy on him, but I thought he did perfect as Haymitch. However, I do think that they didn't play up the Haymitch being drunk enough. He didn't fall off the stage at the reaping or anything like that, so it was kind of disappointing that they didn't do that, but I was never disappointed in Woody Harrelson acting. He did amazing. And I think that they could not have got a better person for Haymitch. So now we're going to talk about Elizabeth Banks. She played Effie Trinket. Again, I think she did amazing. I pictured someone who looked a little younger, as Effie Trinket, but she's really young. They just made her look, I guess the powdery stuff made her look really old to me. But I feel like she did such a good job, and her, like, with the manners thing was just so funny. I just loved her as Effie Trinket, and I liked her in other movies too, so I could be a little bit biased towards her. President Snow was played by Donald Sutherland. Oh my god, they could not have gotten a more perfect character. Again, I think he did so awesome. I love him as an actor, and they got him to play one of the cruelest characters in the book, and I loved it. He did such a good job. He was so menacing. The only thing about that is, though, I didn't picture him to look like that at all. I pictured President Snow to be fat. If you've ever seen Finding Nemo, Little Nemo, if you've ever seen Little Nemo, it's this character where this boy rides his bed into like this fantastical land, and there's this like little clown creature that has to save him with a hot air balloon, or he has to meet him in a hot air balloon or something. And I pictured him looking like a real person version of that. But I think that besides the looks, like what I pictured, he was amazing. He was perfect for it. Now we're going to talk about Prim, who was played by Willow Shields. I think that she did a really good job. She is only in it for a little bit at this point of the story, and I think that she did amazing. She's really little, so it's really hard to act well when you're little anyways, because you have to like pay attention, and I mean, when you're little you don't have any attention span. So I think that she did an amazing job for her age. I loved the reaping scene when she's screaming. It like broke my heart. And that's the whole point of the whole series, is that moment. And between her and Jennifer Lawrence, they played it off ideally. I'm not too sure about her for the rest of the series. She doesn't really look the part to me. I don't know why. I don't know like what about her kind of rubs me the wrong way. But I don't know if she's going to be a perfect Prim forever, but she did amazing in this movie. Another one of my favorite characters was Caesar Flickerman in the series, and he's played by Stanley Tucci, I guess, Tucci, Tucci, but he did so good. Oh my god, I mean, I'm saying this about every character, but they could not have got a more perfect person. Again, I pictured someone a little fatter, a little older, and I don't know why, but I still pictured him with gray hair, even though it says his hair is like always dyed different colors, but I pictured him to have like a more rounder exterior. But oh my god, he was so perfect. I loved him as an actor. He's always in amazing roles, and he just did so good. He played everything off so well. He did the laughs well, he did the commentary of the Hunger Games well, and he did like the interviews, like exactly how I saw the interviews going with his character. I thought it was amazing. Rue was played by Amanda Stenberg. She looked so sweet, and she looked so innocent, and it really was heartbreaking when you know what happens. So yeah, she did a very good job. I mean, to me, I mean, as much as I hate to say this, Rue was a small part of the book to me. I mean, it's very heartbreaking and everything. It was very, very sad, and she wasn't a small part, but it's just she didn't matter as much as some of the other things that they left out. Okay, so I want to talk about the careers. Evan Rambin plays Glimmer. Jack Quaid plays Marvel. Alexandra Ludwig plays Cato. And Isabella Fuhrman plays Clove. And I think that they did good. I think that they were casted well. There's not much I can say about them other than they did a good job acting, because what else do you say? They don't have huge roles in the rest of the series, so there's not like much I can be disappointed about. And to be honest, I didn't really picture them too vividly in my head. I think that all the actors overall did a very good job. I think that they were cast very well. Thank God they didn't make the same mistakes that they made in some of the other movies, for our book to movies, and I'm so happy with how the acting turned out in this film. Okay, so now I want to talk a little bit about the book to movie adaptation. I feel like they did an okay job. As most of you have seen it know, or have seen reviews know, they left out some really important parts, but they weren't like crazy important. They left out a lot of the cave scene. They left out a lot of the relationship between Rue and Katniss. They left out a lot of Haymitch's drunkenness. And the main thing, which I was most disappointed in because it's one of my favorite scenes, Peeta loses his leg in the book because the mutations at the end bite it off, or bite it so severely that they can't fix it. And they go up in the helicopter, and Katniss is beating, like, passionately at the door, like, feverishly at the door, like, screaming his name. And that really shows a lot of the relationship. Like, that shows that Katniss really does care about Peeta. And so you're really left not knowing how Katniss feels about Peeta, because they don't really make it to be serious. They don't make it to be a joke either. So they don't really play off the whole Haymitch is telling Katniss to do this thing. They don't even mention it at the end, and that was like a really disappointing thing, because I think that's huge in the book. It makes a bunch of the book, and they didn't put it in. So that was kind of crazy to me that they left something like that out. Suzanne Collins was one of the screenwriters, so if it's fine by her, it's fine by me, but I don't know how they're going to do Catching Fire as much now. Other than that, I feel like they did a really good job, because it's such a hard movie, or hard book, to turn into a movie, because it's written as a live show. So you obviously want to put that into it, but then you also don't want to make it just a live show, like just a movie like shown from live TV, which is one way that I was worried that they were going to do it. But I think they did a great job. They put enough funny humor into like the Capitals version of the Hunger Games, with Caesar Flickerman talking about everything, and with the interviews and all that stuff. They did a really good job showing all of that. But then they also showed the brutal tribute side of everything, but I don't think they did it enough. I don't think it was violent enough. I don't think it was tough enough for Katniss. They didn't show her starve, dehydrating. They didn't, she didn't stay burned very long. I thought she stayed burned, her leg, a lot longer in the movie. So yeah, I thought that was kind of strange that they didn't put those hardships in there. In the long run, it really messes with their heads, what they've had to do in the arena, and they don't even really touch on that. So yeah, as far as the movie goes, I think that it was amazing. I don't know how I would have felt about it if I hadn't read the book. I've heard that if you hadn't read the book, you wouldn't understand it, because they've left so much stuff out, and I didn't even really pay attention to that. So for those of you who haven't read the book, maybe go read it first. If there's ever an excuse to read a book that you've been unsure about reading, it's before you watch the movie, just so you know more about it. There are some parts that were put in there. They weren't huge, that I noticed, that only book lovers got. At the very beginning, they show Prim's cat, and if you read the book, you know that Katniss hates this cat so much, and they have this bittersweet relationship with this cat, and it doesn't show that in the movie. It just shows her saying something about her boiling it, or something doing something mean to it. So a bunch of people started laughing, because if you were at the midnight release, you probably had read it. But if you hadn't read it, you wouldn't have understood that. And there was a couple other things like that in there. So yeah. Another thing I thought they did, the reaping scene was my favorite. Obviously, it was so good. I think that the cave scene looked amazing. I think that they should have left more in. I think that when they show the tributes, when they're all in their chariots, I think that was really cool. I didn't picture the room like that. I was really kind of unsure as to how to picture that, so I think they did a good job with that. And one thing that Stacey said that I'm so annoyed with, not that Stacey said, but Stacey brought it up, and I want to talk about it, and I'm annoyed with it, is Mockingjay, how they're going to do it, how she hopes that they change it a little bit. And I have heard from Angie at YA Fiction Freaks that they are making Mockingjay into 2 movies. Really? Really? Every single final movie, I don't know, every single last installment does not need to be made into 2 books. It's so annoying that they're doing this. Harry Potter, yes. But even Harry Potter could have just been made into a 3-hour movie. They could have stuffed it all in. But I mean, I'm glad that they made Harry Potter into 2 movies, even though I still haven't seen the last one. But Breaking Dawn, like, what about that needed to be 2 movies? Nothing. They did it okay so far with the first one. I mean, it wasn't, like, completely boring and awful, but you don't need to make every single last installment 2 movies. Moviegoer people, movie maker people, I don't understand it. It's annoying. I don't want to have to wait to see the second half of something. That's so annoying. It's not a good thing to do. I understand that they make double the money, and, you know, it does prolong the experience, but come on. It's so annoying. If they do that, I'm going to be ticked. And I'm sure they will, because why not? You're going to go see it. They are playing off of our fangirl wallets, and it's driving me insane. So yeah, that's my rant about the Hunger Games movie. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I'm sorry this was so long. I'm sorry this was so late. I'm sorry this was so repetitive. I'm sure you've heard all of these things a million times already from other people's reviews, but that is my review, and I hope you guys enjoyed it. This chapter was for you.